Hello, good evening, and thanks for joining us on NTA Nationwide. My name is Kene Ima Abodike. The federal government has confirmed that 110 students of the Government Science and Technical College in Dapchi, Yobe State are so far unaccounted for after insurgents believed to be a faction of Boko Haram invaded their school. Anthony Forson reports that Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed announced this in Damaturu, the Yobe State capital, when he led a federal government delegation to the state.
The federal government delegation is in Yobe State for the second time since the incident occurred on the 19th of February. The federal government delegation, before making the announcement, met with representatives of key stakeholders, including the state government, the college, parents, security agencies, and Busa local government officials, where Dapchi is located in Damaturu. The minister said, based on briefings from the principal of the college, Adama Abdul Karim, and the State Commissioner for Education, Lami Mohammed, 906 students, out of whom 110 have not been accounted for, were in the school on the day of the attack.
We want here to take what I would call first-hand information. We want to listen to the principal. We want to listen to traditional rulers. We want to listen to all major stakeholders. So we'll be able to establish very fairly exactly what transpired. And from there, we'll now move on what to do, how to manage this situation. It's extremely important now that we know what we are going to do next, but also that we know what we are going to say. A situation where various narratives as to the incident will be emanating from various levels of government will not help the situation. So I hope before we leave here today, we're able to establish some form of protocol as to how do we manage information, who is the proper organ or the proper channel for this information, at what point in time do we think a particular piece of information is ripe to be given out.
To this end, the minister said the federal government has directed that the police and civil defense in the state should immediately deploy personnel to all schools in the state in order to ensure the security and safety of the students and their staff, adding that the federal government has stepped up efforts to rescue the girls and return them safely to their parents. The minister explained that their visit to the state is part of the federal government's effort to provide succor to the parents and also reassure them that the federal government will not rest until the girls are found. The federal government delegation also include the Minister of Interior, Abdurrahman Dambazo. Anthony Forson, NTA News.
The Nigerian Air Force NAF has deployed additional air assets, including intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance ISR platforms to the northeast in a renewed effort at locating the missing Dapchi girls. Some ISR platform and helicopters are deployed to search for and possibly locate the missing girls as well as the Boko Haram terrorist BHTS. In a statement by the Director, Public Relations and Information, Nigerian Air Force Air Vice Marshal Olatokunbo Adesonya, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar directed the immediate deployment of NAF personnel, which will spare no efforts at possibly getting the girls back via 8 air operations. NAF calls on Nigerians, especially the locals, who might have any information that could lead to the location of the girls, to bring such information forward to NAF authorities or other relevant security agencies. In the meantime, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, says the Army will introduce more military exercises to address emerging security challenges in the country. The Army Chief was represented at the inauguration of the new office complex for the headquarters of the Corps Artillery in Kotagora, Niger State. The report.
Just like other developed and developing nations, Nigeria is facing some security challenges in parts of the country. To cope these internal security menace that has retarded socio-economic development, the Army, in its aid to civil society, is introducing different military exercises. This will, apart from retraining troops to be familiar with the dynamism in different locations of operations, but will also police the society.
Last year we had exercise Harbin Kunama 2, So this year, we actually decided to coin the Harbin Kunama 3 to what it is now, that is exercise I am Akwatuma. And after this, we are going to have another exercise, which you know some of them that were conducted in the second, third, and fourth quarter. That is like exercise Crocodile Smile.
The event featured the inauguration of the complex, a project that started about 27 years ago.
The foundation of this edifice you are seeing today was laid in 1991, when headquarters Nigerian Army Corps of Artillery and School were located from Lagos to Kontagora.
Hostel accommodation was among other projects inaugurated to enhance the welfare and combat proficiency of troops. From Kontagora in Niger State, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
The Director, Army Public Relations and Corps Commander, Brigadier General Jude Chukwu, has assumed office. Before his appointment, he was the Commandant, Nigeria Army School Public Relations and Information in Lagos. Brigadier General Sani Usman, the outgoing Director of the Corps, is proceeding to the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPSS, after his nomination for participation as participant for Course 40. Now, the city of Onitsha in Anambra State woke up this Sunday to the news of a man who allegedly killed his children and housemaid at their Awada residence. Although NTA news crew confirmed the incident on arrival at the scene, not much information on the man and his victims could further be volunteered by neighbors who described him as queer. Mwadi Elobike reports.
As stranger than fiction as it sounds, the reality is that 4 siblings and their aunt were slaughtered by their own father and brother-in-law in an apartment on the 3rd floor of this building. The 4-story building, situated at number 12 Ntuke Street in Awada district of Onitsha, is said to belong to the murder suspect's brother. The dead children are also said to be all he had, while the 5th victim was his wife's sister. A 6th, visiting the slain maid, survived because she jumped from the 3rd to the 2nd floor when their attacker emerged with a knife. Co-tenants say they know little about the man who never associated with neighbors.
So when we read that, we saw the lady, asked her what's happening. He said there is one man killing his children there, asked him to run away. He jumped from that to 4 to 3. So the guy just like fear over the body of the lady. But all I know is that he doesn't talk to people.
The man
he doesn't talk to people. I asked him to register as a member of society. He said no. I cannot force him because the brother is the owner of the house.
He did not register as a member of the yard. We have been asking them to come and register as a member of the yard, but he refused. So this time around, this thing happened. We don't know what to do.
Although the DPO of Awada station was not available for official reaction, the news crew gathered from police source that the murder suspect has committed suicide.
A 14-member committee has been set up to find lasting solutions to the communal crisis between Ofa and the Ejabo communities in Kwara State. This is sequel to a meeting held between the development unions of both towns in Ilorin, the state capital. Ahmed Fulani reports that 7 members were drawn from each of the communities.
Following the communal clash between Ofa and Ijabo recently, which led to the destruction of properties, the representatives of the 2 communities' unions have resolved to broker peace between the 2 warring communities. The national president of Ofa Descendant Union, Alhaji Najim Yasin, and his counterpart from Ijabo, represented by Dr. Samuel Akinola, agreed that the 2 communities have been known for peaceful cohabitation for ages, emphasizing that their unity is non-negotiable.
We want to disabuse the public that Ofa and Ijabo is fighting. I'm assuring the community that we cannot fight. And I will assure you, by the special grace of God, all the communities all the surroundings. Inshallah, we shall remain one.
Yes, what Alhaji Yassin has said is what we have agreed. We want to make this incident the last one that will ever occur again.
They appealed to all concerned to bury their hatchets and embrace peace, emphasizing that no meaningful development can take place in the atmosphere of violence. It will be recalled that properties worth thousands of naira were destroyed as a result of crises that ensued between Offa and Ijaibo last week. Ahmad Fulani, NTA News.
In another development, the Federal Executive Council meeting will not hold this Wednesday. Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, in a statement, says this is due to the participation of President Muhammadu Buhari and a significant number of ministers at the high-level meeting of the International Conference on Lake Chad Basin in Abuja for the better part of the day. Time now to join Elizabeth for issues arising from that zone.
Hello and welcome to Lagos. Fiscal federalism has been identified as the major panacea to addressing the various challenges confronting the country. This was the view of speakers at a colloquium organized in honor of the primate of the Church of the Lord's Prayer Fellowship Worldwide, Rufus Oshitelu, in Lagos. Tunde Saiki has details.
Lecturer, former special advisor to the President of Media and Publicity, Dr. Reuben Abati, who went down memory lane, noted that the various units of Nigeria have been struggling to contain this issue of restructuring the country for a sustainable unity. Dr. Abati itemized various attempts at addressing the challenges hindering the realization of a true federal state in Nigeria.
Many years after, independence, we're still talking about these same issues. And the whole issue is about, ensuring that every Nigerian has a sense of belonging, that Nigeria is organized on the basis of meritocracy, that no particular part of Nigeria feels excluded or marginalized, and that people feel that their contribution to the making of Nigeria is not to their own disadvantage.
Chairman of the colloquium and other speakers highlighted the objectives of the foundation. They said the sustenance of the nation's unity is sacrosanct and all efforts to ensure the unity of Nigeria must be maintained, even if it calls for restructuring.
The God of God must actually be here. And that's why it's good for us to examine the issues around our nation.
The person in whose honor the colloquium was organized, Dr. Rufus Oshitelu, said since the country is a plural society, it must be run in accordance with the basic tenets of federalism.
We don't need to continue to pray for good leadership. If we have good policies on ground, credible policies, credible institutions, you can put a dog. It will do the right thing because there will be policies that will stop the person from doing what is wrong.
High points of the event were the presentation of scholarship awards to some outstanding students and the cutting of the birthday cake of the primate of the Aladura Church of the Lord worldwide. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
And that's a contribution from Lagos at this hour. Over now to Kenya for more on Nationwide.
Thank you, Elizabeth. President Muhammadu Buhari has reaffirmed the unshakable resolve of the federal government towards ensuring that all persons abducted by the various groups of insurgents are rescued or released safely and reintegrated into the society. Receiving the 3 lecturers of the University of Maiduguri, as well as the women who regained freedom recently, the president also promised to ensure that no stone is left unturned towards degrading and containing the criminal elements for the return of complete peace to the land. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The 3 University of Maiduguri lecturers, Dr. Solomon Yusuf, Yusuf Ibrahim, and Dashe Haruna, were abducted on the 25th of July last year by ISIS West Africa while returning from NNPC exploration site in the Lake Chad Basin. The 10 women, on the other hand, were kidnapped by Boko Haram about 1 month earlier on their way to Askira Wuba in Borno State for a burial ceremony.
We were rescued on the 10th of February this year. It was a very huge relief to me personally as well as to all Nigerians.
President Muhammadu Buhari told the people that the path to their freedom was painstaking and protracted, as the groups responsible for the criminal acts were not only different but located far apart, that if not properly handled could result in their consequences.
While thanking the security agencies and all those who facilitated this, let me clearly reiterate the resolve of this administration to ensure all persons abducted by the insurgents are rescued or released safely. I have since directed all security agencies to immediately ensure that every effort is directed to ensure the safety of our schools and students, as well as bringing back the abducted girls to their families.
Describing the February 19 abduction of Dapchi school girls in Yobe State as a sad incident, President Buhari was emphatic that his administration treasures every human life, particularly that of Nigerian citizens.
I remain very mindful of the pains and injury collectively meted out by the insurgents, and will ensure that the government did not leave any stone unturned to degrade and contain these insurgents and ensure that complete peace returns to our land. Government would also work closely with all stakeholders, such as the United Nations and other donor agencies, voluntary organizations, towards rehabilitating and resettling all those displaced as a result of this conflict, to quicken a resumption of meaningful socio-economic activities.
The Director General, Department of State Services, Lawal Daura, had told the President that negotiations for the rescued victims centered mainly on the fate of arrested members of the insurgent groups, possible cessation of hostilities, especially the attacks with IEDs on soft targets, as well as the possibility of granting amnesty to those willing to surrender. He speaks on the way forward.
Permit me, Mr. President, to suggest for more synergy and coordination among all security agencies with a view to avoiding future incidents. But more importantly, to reduce delay in response to such incidents and facilitate rescue of victims in record time.
Dr. Solomon Yusuf, who responded on behalf of those rescued, appreciated President Muhammadu Buhari for all the efforts made towards ensuring that they regained freedom.
Sir, you surprised us. After 7 months for us from the university and 8 months for the 10 ladies from Lassa, Nigeria rescued us. This shows that the life of every Nigerian is important. You gave us hope when there was no hope. Sir, we are grateful.
All those released were medically examined and psychologically evaluated, are now in good health condition and ready for release to their family members. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
News continues after these messages.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
The fight against corruption in Nigeria and the success story so far is our focus on NTA Tuesday Live this week. NTA Tuesday Live, incisive and educative. Don't miss it.
Nigerians Continuity and Progressives for Buhari Osibanjo 2019 invites all Nigerians to a national rally for Buhari Osibanjo Continuity 2019 at the Eagle Square, Abuja on 28 February 2018 by 10 a.m. We support continuity for these great achievements. 14 local governments freed from Boko Haram control, Nigerian military better equipped, continued peace in the Niger Delta, release of 100 Chibok girls and 16,000 persons under Boko Haram control, entrenching accountability and transparency in governance, taking Nigeria out of the worst recession in 3 decades, elimination of 30,000 ghost workers through reforming the civil service, massive investment in agriculture and fertilizer distribution, improving rail and roads infrastructure, the takeoff of the Niger Bridge, the federal government's new vision on the Niger Delta, creation of 30 billion naira development funds, Ogoni cleanup, Mambila power plant, improving Nigeria's international image, billions of stolen funds recovered. Buhari Osibanjo 2019, promoting the change agenda for a bright future for all. All APC governors, ministers, heads of parastatals and stakeholders are invited. Honorable Amos Adamuyat, National Organizing Secretary, announcer.
In January 2015, the world's most deadly terrorist group, Boko Haram, controlled 20 local government areas in Borno State and operated freely in 5 other northeastern states in Nigeria. Other than committing the second worst terror attack after 9/11, their bombing sprees reached Bauchi, Kano, Abuja, and as far as Zaria.
They killed more than 23,000 people, kidnapped more than 2,000 people, including the 276 Chibok girls, and caused the displacement of more than 2.3 million people.
By the end of 2015, the Buhari administration turned the tide of the war, and Boko Haram was routed from Sambisa Forest. By October 2016, 21 of the Chibok girls were released since April 2014, and in May 2017, another 81 Chibok girls were freed. By December 2016, Boko Haram was technically defeated and subsequently reduced to a handful of sporadic attacks.
Welcome back to the news. More than 7 million primaries 1 to 3 school children in 20 states of the Federation are currently being fed in the National Homegrown Feeding Program, with other 2 states set to join. Special Advisor to the President on Social Investment and Protection Program, Mariam Uwais, at a press briefing in Abuja, says the program designed to support those facing challenges in varying economic spheres has achieved profound successes. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
This was the scenario when President Muhammadu Buhari presented his administration's budget proposal to the National Assembly in 2015. And the budget is what the administration considers as the most ambitious social protection programs conceived and being implemented for the country, and proposed to gulp 500 billion naira annually. Almost 2 years into the implementation of the programs, the Social Investment Office says the programs have achieved profound successes so far.
One of the most important aspects of the Social Investment Program is the millions of Nigerians who have and who continue to benefit directly and indirectly from each of the various schemes. All our beneficiaries are being paid directly, with the BVN being an integral part of our design. Today, we have recorded 7.9 million direct beneficiaries since inception and have a presence in 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory.
The office has the mandate to provide 500,000 jobs to the unemployed graduates and to non-graduates, to provide loans to a minimum of about 1.6 million small and medium-sized enterprises with an established cooperative, to support 1 million of the poorest households with cash transfer, and provide a meal a day to a minimum of 5.5 million school children in primary 1 to 3.
We don't steal with egg, eggs and beef and chicken.
In relation to our targets, we have achieved the following. For N-Power, we have 200,000 graduate beneficiaries who are currently enrolled and working in various institutions around the country. The selection of the next batch of 300,000 beneficiaries have been completed, and those selected will be engaged in the next few months. 20,000 more beneficiaries in the non-graduate category are set to commence training in 34 states around the country. So far, we have 455,857 poor and vulnerable households uploaded onto our National Social Register.
I think even though this is a political promise, it came from a manifesto of a political party, the implementation is far from being just political. The implementation is for all Nigerians.
At a press briefing, Special Advisor to the President on Social Protection Programs, Mariam Uwais, called on all Nigerians to join government in this effort as it continues implementation with diligence, efficiency, and transparency. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, says the non-oil sectors will offer Nigeria the way out of the challenges in the hydrocarbon industries. This was at the flag-off of a marble and granite industry in a local government area of Ondo State. Doris Olumoko reports.
Nigeria utilizes about 4 million cubic square meters of granite for various forms of construction, and only about 500,000 is produced locally, with the larger proportion imported. The establishment of the marble and granite industry under a public-private partnership arrangement is one of the efforts of Ondo State government to explore the rich mineral and natural resources in the states. The industry has the capacity to produce 1.5 million cubic square meters of granite annually, which will make it the biggest in Africa.
What is produced locally here, which will be cut, polished by them, and I can see it here. It's, if not better than what you get from China and other places, it would compete favorably with them.
It is not only for the benefit of our people, but I'm sure for us in Ondo State and for Nigeria in general, this is a great project.
Stakeholders expressed optimism that the new industry will bridge the gap, provide employment opportunities, and in the long run, and foreign exchange for Nigeria. From Afu in Ose local government area of Ondo State, Doris Olumoko, NTA News.
As the depletion of the nation's forest reserve continue unabated, the federal government is rising up to the occasion with the setting up of 7 national parks. Conservator General of National Park Service, Ibrahim Musa Guni, made this known at the passing out parade of rangers in Abuja. Mia Ogidi reports.
Nigeria lost 37% of our forest reserve between 1990 and 2005. That is 15 years, reducing the forest space to less than 5%. Illegal and uncontrollable logging, bush burning and firewood gathering are major contributory factors, and this gives open invitation to climate change-related issues. As the forest faces these challenges, the government of Nigeria also become uncomfortable. Then comes the need for more hands, so 40 rangers made the list for training to checkmate such unforest-friendly activities.
Federal Ministry of Environment is considering increasing the number of national parks to 17, thereby increasing our forest area, consequently mitigating climate change.
After the drills, weapon handling and unarmed combat trainings, these rangers are to face the challenges of their mandate. And for the Conservator General of the National Parks Services, emerging homeland crimes are even becoming more challenging.
Cattle rustlers and cattle herders and armed bandits in the national park, most of which have to do with open confrontations.
For the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, who trained the rangers, appealed for more interagency collaboration to tackle the security challenges of the time. Mia Ogidi, NTA News.
The Barbari in Port Harcourt studios has the next set of reports.
Good evening, and welcome to Port Harcourt.
A Chief Magistrate Court sitting in Port Harcourt, presided over by Chief Magistrate Kariba Braid, has remanded in prison custody one Pastor Chidebere Okorafo for the murder of 3 of his church members, one of whom was his girlfriend at Oyibo in Rivers State. This followed his arraignment by the State Police Command after his confessional statement, subsequent plea of guilty to the crime. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
The murder incident reportedly took place on December 11, 2017, when the 3 victims, Oloma Onwaibo, his alleged girlfriend, her 9-month-old baby, Christabel Joseph, and Ada Ezenwa, set out to confront the accused pastor over a pregnancy scandal involving him and one of the deceased. The Deputy Commissioner of Police, Rivers State, Sri Okoro, had told newsmen that the accused pastor tactically separated the 2 friends, killing the pregnant girl in an uncompleted building while luring the other with her baby to a bush, where he subsequently strangulated her alongside the 9-month-old baby.
On the 9th of February 2018, faced with overwhelming evidence and facts linking him with the death of the deceased persons, the pastor confessed to the commission of the said murder of all the deceased persons.
When he was arraigned in court, the accused pleaded guilty and asked for mercy. The Chief Magistrate, however, remanded him in prison custody, directing that the case be properly filed at the High Court for proper prosecution and punishment, having pleaded guilty to the crime. The accused before the crime was the pastor in charge of Altar of Solution Church, based in Oyibo, Rivers State. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
The Nigerian Customs Service Area 2 Command on Rivers State has seized over 9 containers carrying 8,245 cartons of fake pharmaceuticals and 8 containers of rice illegally imported into the country with wrong labeling. This is among other achievements. Osinachi Silvanus Abraham reports that the Customs Area Controller Port Harcourt 2 Area Command, Abubakar Bashir, disclosed this in a briefing with journalists in Onitsha, Rivers State.
The command says it has consistently maintained its policy of zero tolerance for any activity that will jeopardize the well-being of Nigerians and have remained steadfast in its commitment to achieve the goals of Nigerian Customs Service. Addressing journalists, Controller Abubakar Bashir reviewed the activities of the command in 2017, such as the realization of 83.26% of the 112.5 billion naira revenue target given to them by the federal government, as well as a total seizure of 26 consignments with a duty-paid value of 470 million naira.
From January to date, the command has seized 9 by 40 feet containers carrying 8,245 cartons of fake pharmaceuticals, consisting of 250 milligrams of tramadol and tramadol and other anti-malaria and analgesic drugs falsely declared as pressure-reducing PVC.
Abubakar Bashir also highlighted achievements made within the first quarter of 2018, even as he is determined to improve the achievement of 2017 through greater diligence in all its activities. From Onitsha, Osinachi Silvanus Abraham, NTA News.
There is a growing interest among the youths towards active participation in the ongoing voter registration exercise preparatory to making the right choices in the 2019 general elections. However, concerns are still high among prospective voters for the Independent National Electoral Commission to address seeming logistic challenge affecting effective registration of those yet to be captured. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
The various registration centers are still witnessing increasing number of people seeking either to register or get their permanent voter registration cards, PVCs. This may not be unconnected with the increasing awareness, especially coming from the political leaders calling on their supporters to get their PVCs to vote in their preferred candidates in the next election.
We have kept on telling them in every occasion, all media, that the futility of registering more than one.
However, experiences at the INEC registration centers appear cumbersome as prospective voters complain of the slow process, even as they spend days to get themselves registered.
If you person no come out to come do voters card, then go say person no come out. But as you come out like that, I bet we could go beg them for us. We could do the voters card, I beg. We don't try. Sunday hold us. 6 months, nothing I don't chop. Unless this or why they chop.
We come here by December. They say this year. Now this year, I even came because of this voters card. I did not do my VVM on my bank. There's no way I can withdraw money. Still now, they still turning on say we should come back later.
The concerns are not just for the loss of man-hour at the registration centers. There are calls for the decentralization of the centers to enable those at the remote areas far from the local government INEC offices get registered. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
And that does it from Port Harcourt. Is back to Kenya.
Thank you, Odibabari. Now, stakeholders in the education sector in Ekiti State have decried the effects of unstable academic calendar as it is affecting quality education for the younger generation. Kola Adebobuye in this report takes a look at the challenges of strike on tertiary institutions of learning.
Observers have suggested that the incessant industrial action embarked upon by workers in the state-owned university and college of education over state government's inability to pay their over 7 months' salaries has brought about a setback to efforts at achieving quality education in the citadel of learning in the state. It was observed that the campuses were devoid of learning processes as lecturers and non-teaching staff have determined to stay away from work.
It reduced the morale of learning.
People that are supposed to graduate now can't graduate. Some people that are supposed to come for their clearance and all of that can't do that.
Once in 3 months, we are being paid. When your salaries are not coming in regularly, a tax regime that is even taking the little one you are being given, is uncalled for.
Government, however, appealed to the striking workers to return to work as efforts are run to meet their demands.
Government has always explained to them why salaries are being delayed. There is a new tax regime everywhere.
Respondents advocated intervention of concerned parties to find lasting solutions to the crisis in the interest of future of younger Nigerians. In Ado-Ekiti, Adebobuyi, NTA News.
Still talking education, about 211 candidates participated in a mock unified tertiary matriculation examination UTME organized by the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board in preparation for a hitch-free 2018 UTME. Rashidat Mustafa Olagunju reports that the exercise was carried out in 602 registered computer-based test centers across the nation.
The exercise, according to JAMB Registrar Professor Ishaq Oloyede, is to enable the board and partners identify challenges that might mar the success of the 2018 UTME. Addressing the media after visiting some centers in Abuja, Oloyede said, aside 3 centers with slight challenges that were immediately addressed, the exercise went well.
We have mobilized about 2,000 non-JAM staff, in addition to 1,600 JAM staff who are on the field, making sure that the mock is well conducted.
He urged candidates to adhere to the rules of the examination and also called on parents to stay away from the examination center during the exercise.
As some of them are getting cleverer, we are getting wiser. Anybody who complains of logout, we have done everything that there is no logout. But when a student sees that the questions are difficult, he plays some pranks, removes some wire, then there is problems, you start running up. We are monitoring every system now. And when we discover that it's at your instance, then you carry your cross. We have banned some items from going to the examination hall, special reading, special glasses, wristwatches, and many other things that we are aware that some students, our candidates, are using to do some illicit activities.
About 1,662,781 candidates are expected to sit for the 2018 UTME. Rashidat Mustafa Olagunju, NTA News.
Zamfara State Police Command arrests suspected bandits Let's now join Asmau in Sokoto for details.
Good afternoon and welcome to Sokoto. Zamfara State Police Command has arrested some gangs of suspected armed bandits and kidnappers who have been allegedly terrorizing people of the state in recent times. The suspects were paraded along with corpse of one of the suspected masterminds of the recent mass killings in the state. Jamilu Ibrahim has more.
The State Commissioner of Police, Kenneth Abramson, paraded a batch of 8 suspected criminals who have been allegedly terrorizing people of the state in recent times. One of the suspects allegedly co-masterminded the recent mass killing at Birane village and was shot dead after an intense gun battle between the police and members of his gang in Zamfara local government area of the state. Other members of the gang were said to have escaped with gunshot wounds, while 2 AK-47 rifles, 75 rounds of live ammunition and 2 motorcycles had been recovered from them.
As I speak to you, there is ongoing bushcombing in that direction so that those that had escaped with bullet wounds will be arrested and will face the full wrath of the law.
Also paraded were 6 suspected notorious kidnappers aged between 22 and 40 in Zamfara and Maru local government areas, one of whom allegedly demanded a ransom of 4 million naira from his recent victim. Others are a 37-year-old man suspected to be a ransom collector and supplier of arms and ammunition to armed bandits in the bush, and a 20-year-old boy suspected to be a notorious armed bandit arrested in Maru local government area. Some of the suspects who spoke with journalists have confessed to the crime. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
The need for adequate funding and deployment of more security personnel to Zamfara State to address the security challenges bedeviling the state has been stressed. This came to the fore at an interactive session on security situation in Zamfara held at the instance of the Fact-Finding Committee on National Economic Council. Halil Muhammad Umar has more.
A fact-finding committee on security situation in some states of the Federation was recently set up by the National Economic Council under the leadership of Ebonyi State Governor Engineer David Umahi, with members mostly drawn from the Center for Humanitarian Dialogue. The committee, having visited 4 other affected states, was in Zamfara as part of its mandate of assessing the nature of the several crises bedeviling the state with a view to proffering lasting solution to the problem. The interactive session with various stakeholders, including traditional and religious leaders, representatives of farmers, herders, vigilante and women groups, as well as committees set up by the Zamfara state government to reconcile conflicting parties and provide relief to victims of attacks, revealed that a total of 17 attacks were recorded from 2011 to date, which claimed over 1,300 lives and destroyed property worth billions of naira.
I wish to also call on the federal government to take more serious measures, intensification of border security surveillance to check infiltration of arms and ammunition in the country.
There is the need to address the issue of lack of sufficient security personnel.
Zamfara State Governor Abdulaziz Yari, who emphasized the need to see the security problem facing the state as a national issue, said all hands must be on deck to achieve peace not only in Zamfara but the country as a whole.
We have put in so many measures, including the dialogue, and also we need from security agency commitment.
Chairman of the Fact-Finding Committee and Ebonyi State Governor Engineer David Umahi said the committee will carefully study all the submissions made by relevant stakeholders and come up with recommendations that will lead to restoring normalcy in the state.
We also recommend that the amnesty program should be reactivated.
The National Economic Council Committee had earlier met behind closed doors with heads of security agencies in the state. In Gusau, Halil Muhammad Umar, NTA News.
That's our package from Sokoto. Is back to Kene for more on the news. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Asmau. Dry season farmers in northern Nigeria are demanding for a sustainable production and marketing chain for tomato in the country. This is coming as the farmers raise concerns over the post-harvest losses being recorded on an annual basis as a result of glut of their produce in the market.
Goronyo local government area of Sokoto State has the potentials of all year-round farming activities due to availability of both surface and underground water in the locality. Goronyo farmers are also enjoying the 900 million cubic meters capacity dam established in the area in 1984 by the federal government. The dam provides water for dry season farming activities. Vegetables, including onions, tomatoes, rice and wheat, are the crops being cultivated by farmers in the area. The major challenge before Goronyo farmers is how to market their crops after harvest. We are the largest producers of tomato in Sokoto State, but we have gluts everywhere. No buyers, he says. There was also reported excessive abundant supply of tomatoes in most informal commodity markets in Kano, Kaduna, Katsina and Plateau states. Market surveys show that a basket of 70 to 80 kilograms of tomato is being sold at 5 to 700 naira, less than $3. To this end, World Bank and Sokoto State government have pledged to support vegetable farmers in the state. The World Bank is to provide aggregation center and greenhouse, while the government is to grant license to tomato processors in the state.
That is the essence of government, is to assist farmers, improve their production, improve the value chain, so that in addition to getting employment through the farming activities, their means of livelihood is improved, their life is improved, their purchasing power is improved.
Which we hope better tomatoes will be produced there, and we will have better yield, and off-takers will be interested to buy those produce.
Mini tomato processing machines were recently distributed to farmers by the Fadama 3 project in the state. In Sokoto, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Time now to pause for another break on Nationwide. Please do stay tuned.
Experience, they say, is the best teacher.
They hold us from the sea. Thank God that we came back home. They should not go there because it's not good. It's a very bad place. So they just my advice.
Even now, sir, if they are shooting the boat they are going to use to go Italy, may they stop it. Our country is good. Our country is a blessed country. Now I know our country is a blessed country. I know before I for not travel from Nigeria to Libya. I know how much I spent.
Let these personal experiences serve as a lesson to all who would repeat their mistakes. A word is enough for the wise.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
During a successful meeting between the organizers of the first National Grassroots Sports Festival, Sports for All, with stakeholders who requested for shift in date and subsequent presentation at the National Council on Sports meeting, the first National Grassroots Sports Festival, Sports for All, has been shifted to 19th to 29th of April 2018. Venue, National Stadium, Abuja, packages A and B. This is an opportunity for state government, public and private organizations, companies and individuals to promote their achievements and brand through the festival. For broadcast sponsorship, contact Angelo Peter I. Elosia, Chairman and Chief Coordinator, or Nick Oyinsi. Organizers, Grassroots International Sports Academy and LOP Worldwide Television. Endorsed by the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development. Broadcast partner, NTA, the largest television network in Africa.
Welcome back. Kaduna State Police Command says it has brought under control the Monday morning communal clash that occurred at Kasuwan Magani Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. In a telephone conversation with correspondent Benny Adams, the command Public Relations Officer ASP Mokhtar Aliyu said security personnel have been deployed to prevent the crisis from escalating. He confirmed that investigation is underway to determine the remote and immediate cause of the crisis and to forestall any reoccurrence. The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency is going ahead with its engagement with states with the aim of reviving the primary healthcare system and preventing diseases, particularly at the grassroots level. Executive Director of the agency, Dr. Faisal Shuaibu, who met with the chairman of the Delta State Primary Healthcare Development Agency in Abuja, said the federal government is willing to work with its counterparts in the state. Marujanatu Adam Said reports.
The neglect of the primary healthcare system in Nigeria has been blamed for the high mortality rate in the country, particularly as it relates to infant and maternal mortality. The visit of the new chairman of the Delta State Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Isoma Okoba, to the headquarters of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency in Abuja is part of the effort to ensure that this situation is reversed.
We're able to discuss the challenges that the states are facing and how the federal government can advocate to the state governors, and then how we can also provide technical support.
Dr. Isoma Okoba explains that already Delta State is working on a holistic and integrated approach to improving healthcare at the rural areas.
His Excellency, Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, is actually going to flag off the measles vaccination campaign in Delta State. And we have a great team, and we have people out there doing door-to-door mobilization, door-to-door sensitization. And we have really reached out, and we expect a huge turnout, and actually looking up for 100% success rate.
Both Dr. Faisal and Dr. Okoba, who were practicing in the diaspora before their appointment, expressed determination to bring up innovations that will make a difference on the primary healthcare system in Nigeria. In Abuja, Marujanatu Adam Said, NTA News.
And now Obiagali Ugoke is standing by for news across the globe.
Hello and welcome. A Tanzanian opposition Prime Minister Joseph Mbilinyi has been sentenced to 5 months in prison after being found guilty of defaming President John Magufuli. A report says Mbilinyi and co-accused from the opposition party were convicted by a magistrate court in the southwestern town of Mbeya. The two were accused of committing hate speech against President Magufuli December 30th last year. Observers, however, say court ruling with deepened concerns that the president's intolerance of dissent is eroding Tanzanian democracy. Still talking politics, a former regional newspaper editor, Michael McCormack, has been chosen as Australia's new deputy prime minister. He replaced Barnaby Joyce as the leader of the governing coalition's junior partner. Former deputy prime minister Joyce resigned on Friday over his affair with a former staff after holding the post for 2 years. In the meantime, the UN has renewed its appeal for immediate ceasefire in eastern Syrian Gaza area amidst reports of more deaths in airstrikes. Reports by medical charity indicate that at least 541 people have been killed, including 9 civilians, by government airstrikes since hostilities escalated 8 days ago. This prompted the UN Security Council to demand on Saturday that all must cease fighting for 30 days without delay. But Syria government's ally Russia said the truce would only begin once they had agreed on how to implement it.
Nigeria's D Tigers inch closer towards 2019 FIBA Basketball World Cup qualification as Chess in Schools tournament ends in Kaduna. Ayodeji Makinde is our guide on Sports Update.